Hi everyone, welcome. We're checking in on my now 205-day-old worm bin over here. And the fact that there's no specific species of worm identified on the label, that tells us that these are red wigglers. So for the past 205 days, the worms have been living in this tub, and I followed my typical method of feeding for the first two feedings, which was just to feed down the middle. And that was only the first two feedings. What came on feeding number 3 all the way up until today is this idea of feeding in the corners instead rather than down the middle, and changing the corner every single time in a clockwise direction. So it's been 14 days since we last checked in on these little guys, at which point they were fed in this corner over here marked with the coffee filter. And that means today's feeding, continuing in a clockwise fashion, is going to go over here. So let's just leave that over there. Actually, we could just reuse that coffee filter over there as supplemental bedding, because I've got a replacement coffee filter that we could use to mark where we fed. And this is their feeding, by the way. It's a frozen banana. The only thing really missing is the stem, otherwise it's a full banana. Right out of my freezer, you can see the frost beginning to develop on it. A day's worth of coffee and this little weird packet. It's the last one I have of some sort of like pre-portioned breadcrumbs or something. I'm not sure exactly what it is. So either way, I had a few of those, and those have been gradually getting fed to my worm bins over time. So I figured let's just keep going with that until we're done. So just measuring, kind of just not measuring, but sizing up our little collection of stuff out here on the surface. It's been many check-ins since I last applied leafy matter out across the top of the system, and there's still a little bit of it floating out here on the surface, but not very much anymore. So whatever, let's give them their banana and coffee and breadcrumb meal today over here. But before we do that, let's check out how that last feeding did. And let's also check out the other feedings that came prior, just to see how things look in general. I don't remember anything out of the ordinary or weird going on here, so I'm assuming we're going to find happy, healthy system. 2 weeks after our most recent check-in, results in a little bit of leftover bedding type material, some sort of a paper product or whatever this might be. And whatever it is that we fed, I don't recall, but I would imagine that after 2 weeks there's probably very little, if any, leftovers of it. Unless, of course, there's a stem or some other tougher portion of your typical worm food that's just going to, by its nature, take a little bit longer. So, nothing crazy going on there. I guess maybe whatever it is that we gave them last time was such that they were able to gobble it up quickly, and then the worms have possibly dispersed once again since then. Because it does seem to me like here, I would almost say that this corner fed last 2 times ago. Almost looks to me like it might even have more worms in it than the one that we fed most recently 2 weeks ago. So, I don't know, maybe it's just an optical illusion or whatever it is, but we're just going to follow our typical mode of operating here by putting everything that we pulled out of that corner right back into that corner so it can continue to the best of our ability without going too overboard. And we've got one last corner that now goes back 3 feedings. And here again, it just seems like many, many worms. Almost like every corner other than the one where we last fed seems to be the place to find the worms. And here, as far as leftovers go, I'm feeling little chunks of what I know is corn cob. And these are like the seeds of a mango. Well, the seed's probably long gone from inside, but that's like the outer husk of the mango seed. More corn cob bits and stuff like that. So evidently a couple slower type foods were fed down this corner once upon a time. So they remain in that corner for as long as it takes. Alright, on to giving these little guys their food. They've given us a little bit of fun here, a little bit of worm spotting, but it's time to dig up a hole over here on the corner that we're going to be feeding today. The corner that's gone the longest now at this point since the last time it was fed, and still, for whatever reason, is mobbed with worms. I guess the one mysterious spot in this system that we never seem to look at is what's right down the middle over here. And I would imagine it's probably just more of the same because there's not a lot of difference as we go from corner to corner. My guess is that this is just consistent throughout the whole system is what we're seeing here. It's just a nice, happy, healthy bin. Plenty of worms roaming all over the place and the material everywhere. Feeling nice and comfortable and damp so that it is such that the worms probably are very cozy no matter what part of the bin they choose to hang out in, because everywhere in this bin it seems like the material is quite nice, which is awesome, you know, because we're only covering up with a newspaper there for I don't know how long now, which could, I guess in certain times of the year, result in a really dry system, allowing for a lot of evaporation to occur. Like in the summertime here, I don't run climate control unless it's terribly, terribly hot and I need to run the AC a little bit, but generally I'm just contending with whatever I get by having my windows open, and what I end up with is pretty humid air within the house almost all summer long, and because of that my worm bins definitely react differently by losing a lot of their moisture to evaporation to that dried out air. The way it is in the summer, in the winter time, when the furnace is just running all the time. When the furnace is running and running and blowing, all the air in the house just totally seems to get sucked dry of all of its moisture content when the heat's running all the time. But without the heat running all summer long, my worm bins have been hanging on to their moisture really nicely, even with the flimsiest of covers. But soon it'll become cool again, and it'll be necessary to start running the heat again, and then it'll just become drier here in the house as a result of that. So just a little bit of variability that kind of surprised me. It never even occurred to me in the very beginning when I started composting with the worms that the bins would react so much to the change of humidity in the house, but they certainly do. Before we cover up this feeding, you know what, I'm going to drop in a little bit of my pulverized eggshell here so they could use that as grit, and we'll hang on to the coffee filter. This will become our indicator to show us where we last fed. So very nice looking system here. No matter where I look in the system, every corner of it just seems like happy and healthy worms everywhere, and lots of them. I'm just curious at this point. What do we see if we just check the middle? I was kind of expecting it to be very compacted. Perhaps we haven't looked at it recently, or maybe we did. I don't remember. I was just curious, but at times like this, I just wonder, you know, am I kind of stacking the deck by sort of scaring worms into that central spot by having gone all the way around? So it's almost like a staged, busy area when I do it that way. No, I'm not trying to trick you or deceive you. Trust me. All right, everyone, that's it for our check-in with the now 205-day-old Red Wiggler bin. Doing really nice in here. Getting what I believe now is pocket feeding. How many has it been? 16 overall, 14 done so far. That's like 15. And that'll be 16? Wow, that'll be 4 times around we've gone so far. Pretty cool. It's a fun way to feed. It's the only place I'm doing it this way. Maybe I'll have to start trying it elsewhere. All right, everyone, let's get this thing buttoned up. Get these little guys back on the shelf. Let them get back to work. All right, everyone, that's it for the video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, as always, please don't forget to leave me a quick thumbs up before you go. That's always really appreciated. If you haven't done so already, please also consider subscribing to the channel. That's very much appreciated as well. All right, everyone, have a great day. Thanks for watching. Bye now.